Okay, this is going to be a video about Eratosthenes. Obviously, not about Eratosthenes, the man, just Eratosthenes, and the claims concerning what he, right, whether he existed or not, is claimed to have done, right? Now, obviously, I've touched on this in the past many times, and we've been through this in the past, but this is going to be a little bit more comprehensive. Okay, let's get stuck in because there's a good few things to show. Okay, this is what they must claim concerning Eratosthenes when it comes to a globe, right? They're claiming that Eratosthenes was in Alexandria with an obelisk, and there's a well in Cyan, and that, if you look at this diagram, they need two suns, because they need to claim there's this big monstrous sun 93 million miles away, that their globe is receiving light that hasn't diverged yet from. So their sun does have diverging light, but their globe is so close to it and so small in comparison to their sun that the light they're gaining is parallel. But it's so ridiculous that in this diagram they have to show two suns. That's why I like this. Now, obviously, it's not an experiment. It's not an experiment. It's a measurement. Measurements aren't experiments, scientific experiments. But either way, this is the nonsense they must show you, right? This is what, for them, this is what Eratosthenes is, right? So they must believe that an elevation angle can have a curved adjacent. That's literally the truth of it, okay? So here it is again, same thing again. They call it, here it says wall, obelisk is what it really is in the original story, as far as I know. If you go to Carl Sagan, wall in Cyan is actually well in Cyan. So the whole point of this is that the sun sun at noon on the 21st of June, which is the solstice, is directly over the well in Cyan, so it casts no shadow. And there's a shadow cast by the obelisk 5,000 stadia away in Alexandria, which is north of Cyan. The Alexandria and Cyan are like almost basically directly north-south. And that this angle here, which they need a horizontal for, gives them a curved distance between Alexandria and Cyan, right? So that's what they're trying to depict here as well. And here is the ridiculous, look, sun rays from a very long distance, right? Flat Earth and spherical Earth, right? They're giving this an angle, right? Which would be an elevation angle, which means the sun would have to be directly over this point, which would mean this curved line here would have to be straight here. Now, of course, they want to focus on, and this is the whole thing about the Eratosthenes non-experiment measurement, is that they want to talk about parallel sun rays because they need to red herring away from the actual measurement. In the original story, Eratosthenes said that if the sun is small and local and we're gaining divergent light from it, then the Earth is flat. But if it's big and far away and we're gaining parallel light from it, then the Earth can be a globe of radius 3,959 miles. And that will allow us to explain the shadows we see in reality. Well, it doesn't explain all the shadows, but in a two-dimensional sense like this, mathematically, he could say that. Once he denied the measurement that he had made, which involves a horizontal plane, right? For him to make that measurement, the sun needed to be here, and the light from the sun needed to create a shadow that was this length based off of an obelisk this height. And that meant that this whole baseline here had to be flat and horizontal and parallel to mean sea level, which is another horizontal, right? Here we are again, same thing, right? Divergent light, right, from the sun will give us a flat Earth. Parallel light from the sun, right, here on a globe will, right, they didn't show, this is presumed to be parallel, obviously, right, as in not actually parallel, but meeting the globe parallel, right? That for a globe there, right? It's nonsense, right? Here we again, 5,000 stadia, I think it's 7.24 degrees. Some of them say 7.2, some of them say 7.1. I think I worked it out before. If it's around 500 miles, it's like 7.24 kind of thing. I'd have to do a more precise. Either way, it's somewhere around that. Don't matter, right? again, once again, sun ray coming down, right? That's what they call them, sun rays. It's just light from the sun. There's no such thing as rays. They're only mathematical. The disk is going into the well, but it's creating a shadow here. Same story all along. Here we are. I often show this in other videos where you have, look, flat earth model with X. Now, there's no flat earth model. There's no globe model either. But leave and believe there is, because that's all they've got. Divergent light, obviously, will, over a flat plane, will give us this effect, right? Parallel light to a curved surface will give you this effect, right? But you can't make the measurement because it's not going to work, right, on a curved surface. Doesn't work, the measurement on a curved surface. Which I'll show in a while. Here it is again, same thing, right? I'm just showing a good few of these. And once again, divergent light hitting the earth, flat earth, parallel light, right, light that hasn't diverged yet, because I like to be correct, within their paradigm, hitting their globe will give them this mathematical effect. But as I said, you can't make the measurement on a globe because it can't be done. So here is how it can be done. This is the measurement, elevation angle, right angle triangle, right triangle. Here is, right, right triangle to the sun. You have your azimuth and you have your elevation, right triangle, right. This part here, this line here, that it's the Earth's surface or it's parallel to mean sea level, right? Which meaning that mean sea level is horizontal also. Level, no point higher or lower than the other, not curved. So, which would be three-dimensional. So, here you have again, right, elevation angle, right triangle, right? Here you have it again, sun elevation angle, right triangle. This would be where the well is. This would be where Eratosthenes is. This would be the obelisk. This would be the sun, right? Simple stuff, right? Right. Here you have it again, right triangle. No messing around. We all know what's going on. I didn't look at the whatever stuff is on here. It doesn't matter. It's just the right triangle I want to show. Here we have again, right triangle. There's the column or obelisk shadow. Here is the sun. Right triangle. The sun must be directly over a point on the earth, and that point here is the well. Right. That means that this horizontal, right, must go all the way, even if where Eratosthenes is higher in elevation than where the well is, or the well is higher in elevation than where Eratosthenes is, or whatever. The point being is that they must be the horizontal made at the well and the horizontal made at the end of that shadow must be parallel to each other, and both must be parallel to mean sea level, right? Because mean sea level is our horizontal. Here you have once again flat plane underneath the sun. They didn't draw in the opposite here, or the the completion of the right triangle, but it's obvious, right? The sun is directly over a point here. That's where the well is, that's where Eratosthenes is. This would be where the well is. This is not difficult stuff. Here you have it again, like the Earth's surface, right? Here you go, right? Flat, right? Sun directly over what would be the well. There is Eratosthenes, there's his obelisk, solar gnomon here. Nothing complicated about that. Here we have it again, another, do you know what I mean? I don't know what to say. Like, we really don't really know. This video can really end now, really, because it's all over already for the globe. If you understand geometry and measurement. But here we have it again, right triangle, can't be messed with, can't beat the right triangle, impossible. So let's go on to the claim of parallel sun rays, right? The joke, right? This is the red herring. I was going to make a second video on to address this, but I said I'd just do it all in one. This is the joke, the parallel sun rays thing, because it's the red herring that brings people away from the actual measurement, right? And it was only within the official story, it was a suggestion from Eratosthenes, right? But as Eratosthenes said, if we have divergent light from the sun hitting the earth, then the earth is flat. Because he knew we have divergent light, because he just measured an elevation angle that was 5,000 stadia long, or 500 miles, statute miles long. Do you know what I mean? So he knew, obviously, yeah, the earth is flat. And Eratosthenes knew that. But, maybe he was giving people a bit of hope. I don't know. So here you have sun rays. As you can see, this is through two different cloud layers. And as you can see, the rays are obviously diverging, right? Off out in the distance. These ones here are obviously at an angle coming up to meet somewhere up there. Same with these rays here and these rays here. There's no perspective involved here. This is not like train tracks. Because if you put two train tracks up in front of you, or 100 train tracks up in front of you, right, at a distance, right, they're not all going to meet at a point in the sky. That's not how it works. Perspective like that, when you see two train tracks appearing, two parallel straight lines appearing to meet, that is front-on perspective. You won't have it in this situation. This is just sun rays. Right, this is just because the light hitting the earth from the sun is divergent. That's why, because the earth's flat and the sun has, is not a big, whatever they want to claim. It's composed of 93 million miles away. Blah, 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 right? End of story. Right, here we have it again. Obviously not parallel rays. Now, they call them rays. Rays is just merely mathematical. So I'll use that term, right, just not to overcomplicate things. But light rays don't exist. But either way, this is what they call these sun rays coming through the clouds, right? And you can see this is obviously not parallel. You know what I mean? Parallel is very like you'll have a lot of straight lines down here. Not parallel, right? And here we have it again. This is a very good one. This actually make it even bigger. There you have it. Loads of divergent light going on here. Look, that's a nice photograph actually. I might keep that one. It's nice and big, as in there's good pixelation to it or whatever. So yeah, I mean, obvious. I don't know how much more obvious you need it to be. Like that, this what they call a sun ray here is diverging from this one here, not parallel. Parallel would mean that they're both like these two objects here and this object here, like all like straight lines parallel with each other. But that's not the case, obviously, with the sun or the earth. The earth is flat. And here we have it again, another, more flat earth proof. Like, there you have it again, not parallel light rays hitting the earth because the earth's flat. And here we have it again, more flat earth proof. Proving the flat earth again, there's the sunspot there underneath, and here you have all the diverging sunlight. Not all like going back to meet a point because of perspective or any stupid nonsense like that. It's because it's just diverging. End of story. Obviously, we don't need gaslighting. We don't need to be gaslit by any crazy idiots who want to start telling people it's a globe when obviously it's flat. Here you have it again. You have more divergent light, not parallel light, divergent light hitting the earth, and more again. It's like every day, all day. You know what I mean? Not parallel sunlight. More of it here, as you can see. It's all divergent, off out in the distance. These rays are obviously divergent from them rays. They're not parallel with them. There's just no way around that. And another one here, just more of it. Obvious divergence out here in comparison to here. This is a massive distances away here between those two, and there's obvious divergence going on. So that's, it is what it is, flat earth. Here you have it again, more, and it's only a small opening in the cloud here, but even with a small opening, like technically if we were getting parallel light, then this point and this point, right, would have to be, the light coming through the clouds would have to be coming down and only be as big as the opening in the clouds. Now, I know people say, well, there's a bit of perspective because you have angular size of the clouds and everything. Like yeah, but that would be, you can't have an angular size to any opening in a cloud on a globe, because that doesn't exist in any terrestrial way for the globe, only in a celestial way. Like objects don't change in angular size on a globe. A mountain doesn't change in angular size with distance on a globe within that paradigm, but the sun does. So they have celestial angular size changes, but not terrestrial. Either way, this is obviously, what I mean. Obviously, it's not parallel. End of story. But look, if you want to believe it is, I'm not going to stop you. You're welcome to be as crazy as you like. And again, another obvious flat earth proof, proving the earth's flat again. Thanks to Eratosthenes for this. Because he made sure that everyone knew the earth was flat, without a doubt. And another one, this is a good photo too, and we'll keep this one. As you can see, someone took it from a bit of a height. Maybe it's from a drone or helicopter, I don't know. But you can see that, like, obviously, those sun rays are not parallel. You know what I mean? I don't know, what more to say about that. But anyway, that's that, let's just say, right? So, once again, another point, I could just end the video here now. There's no need to go on further. But I will anyway, right? Just to really drive the point home to a load of crazy people. Not the flat earthers. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, here let's show some geometry, right? Here is an obelisk in Alexandria, right? Now, obviously, this is a solar elevation angle, which means that the well has to be directly below the sun, right? And there has to be a horizontal line between underneath where the shadow ends and the either directly over, directly under, or directly at the well. I know there might be elevation differences, but the horizontals will still be being made, will all be parallel, and then they'll all be parallel with sea level. So here you have, right, obelisk, and here will be the straight adjacent to the well in Cyan. And if I just come in now, Geogebra starts giving me problems sometimes, so I just try to do this best I can. So if I come in here, you can see well in Cyan, right? And the point I bring straight down from above here. So this arc length here, right, is the same length as this here. I just, 1 second, get out this. Right. Let me see, where's the other one gone to? Is it this one? Oh, no, sorry. I know what it is. Sorry, I'm mixing myself up there. Just a sec. So here you have the arc length here of 434.48. That is in nautical. I have that in nautical miles, right? Because I'm using minutes of degree. And I'm going to use this, the circle, right? So even though nautical miles are horizontals, they're still, you can turn them into minutes of degree. Either way, I'm using nautical, and you can change it as you need to. So what this shows is that if the sun is up here, then the problem is that the well when Eratosthenes does what he does, the well has to be here because it has to be at the other end of a straight line, right? The horizontal, the other end of the adjacent, right? If I just go up here, right? Here's the obelisk, here's the shadow, here is the well. The sun has to be directly over the well. That's the way it works. That's what a solar elevation angle is. That's what Eratosthenes was talking about. Here is that divergent light, right, creating the shadow. And here is the obelisk, right? But the problem here is that when you use the arc, right, which I have done here, right, you end up at 1.161 or almost 1.162 nautical miles of a difference, right? Now, there's no way for the sun to be directly over this point here, which would be the well in Cyan on a globe. There's no way for that to happen and for there to not be a shadow, right? There's no way for that to happen. For that to be directly over, not only would this well here have to be here, which would be wrong, because, it only works, it would be wrong because in a straight line, that's the actual distance there. Because what was the length? 434.48 nautical miles is around 500 statute miles. So the point being is that this, right, would be whatever, it's 1.1508, multiply this by that, and you will get the statute mile distance. Point being is that there is a differential, right? And the sun can't be directly over this well here and not create a shadow in the well on the globe because the well is then at an angle to the sun. Can't be, right? That can't happen, right? We all know that's impossible. It's obviously impossible because here's a straight line down from, right, that point. The sun would be above this point here, right? So if this is the well, right, this can't be the well. Do you know what I mean? That can't happen. That can't be the well and this be the well. You know what I mean? The sun would be coming, light would be coming straight down. There's a show just up here, right? Here is the well, right? Sun, light over the well. End of shadow, horizontal baseline. There's no if, buts, or maybes about it. That's the way it is. That's what the solar elevation angle is. Right, as I showed, light from the sun is divergent. Hitting the earth divergent. Earth is flat. That's the end of that. There's no way around it. But obviously people want to have silly arguments. But either way, this doesn't work, right? You will have a shadow in the well if the sun was hitting that, which it won't, because the sun is going to be, when it's straight down over the point above the well or whatever, which would be the end of the adjacent of the elevation angle, there's going to be 1.162 nautical miles of a difference, right? And people could go, well, it wouldn't matter. It's only a small bit. You know what I mean? People want to, on the globe side, want to make up stuff in their minds to somehow make something that into something it can't be. Do you know what I mean? No, 1.162 nautical miles, and the fact that it's that it's at an angle in relation to being directly below the sun, none of this can work, right? But for those that want to kind of claim, oh, it's only a small distance, it wouldn't really matter too much, you know, it would absolutely matter, right? I just shown here that, or instantly, the whole thing is impossible, right? Geometrically impossible, right? But just to really hammer it home, I'm just going to add some stuff in here. Just give me a moment. Just going to click on a few boxes. Whoops, click a few boxes here. Right, I think they're all clicked. Right, so let's just say Eratosthenes didn't have a 7.24 degree or 80 whatever degree elevation angle, giving him a 7.24 degree zenith angle. Let's just say he had a 45 degree elevation angle, giving him a 45 degree zenith angle. Then how that would work out for the globe would be, right, because obviously that would be the length here across here, between there and there, it'd be 2,700. Right, I have 700, I have two in there, I just didn't do it exactly perfect. But I have 2,700 nautical miles along here, or maybe that one there is the arc length. Either way, the point being is that it won't matter, because the small little differential should be 2,700. I have an extra 2, right? It doesn't matter, because this arc length here, between here and here, is 2,700, and between this point and this point is 2,700. But when we look at the differential, it's not like earlier where it's 1.16 or whatever nautical miles. It's 402 nautical miles. Do you understand the problem? And we can measure elevation angles to celestial bodies, including the sun, that will give us lengths of 5,400 nautical miles, which would be 6,210 or whatever it is, or 13 statute miles. Point being is that that is the differential. So when you measure right, the solar elevation of the sun, right, if you're at Alexandria, right, here, and that's Cyan, then the sun is directly over the well at 12 o'clock noon on the 21st of June, right, giving you no shadow down the well, pure light down into the well, right? The sun's lighting up the whole of the well, and you have a shadow here. That's a horizontal. You're measuring the horizontal, because you obviously, as I showed earlier, right, and as I stated, the whole parallel light thing is just a red herring away from the actual measurement, which is measurement of a right triangle, right? So point being is that the adjacent is always going to be horizontal, and it can't be a tangent. It can't be a tangent for this reason. You can't be a tangent. It doesn't work as a tangent. It only works as if you're actually referencing mean sea level as a horizontal. None of this works as a tangent. It's not an elevation above a tangent. It's elevation above the earth, right? That's what you're trying to do. You have to be parallel with mean sea level, right? None of this works unless you're not. So this is the problem, right? If the light from the sun has to come straight down into the well here, right, straight down from above. I'll just show it here again. Sorry. Where's it gone then? Oh, sorry. I'm not losing my position. Oh, it's up here. Right? Sun comes straight down into the well, right? And you have the angle to the sun, and there's a straight line here. That can't be, this green and black line here, can't be a tangent. Right? Because the sun has to come straight down. It's not coming in at an angle. It's coming straight down. The light has to come straight down. Right? That means that this line here and as the zenith from where Eratosthenes would have been have to be parallel verticals. because this is a horizontal. They both have to be 90 degrees to that horizontal. So it can't be a tangent because the GP point, right, the sun has to be over that GP point, and the GP point in this instance is the well. Now, as I said, if the well was 2,700 nautical miles away, right, there would be a differential for the globe of 402 nautical miles, right, whatever that would be in stature. It's never going to work, right? There's even a differential with 500, with 500 statute miles. What is it? 434.48 nautical miles. There's a differential of over a nautical mile, and with 2,700 nautical miles, there's a differential of over 400. Right? It doesn't work. It can't work because the sun must be directly over the GP point. Now, if the sun is directly over this GP point here, the measurement can't happen. Right? It can't work. Right? It won't work because it only works, as Eratosthenes, right, talked about and claimed, it only works if, where are we? Yeah, for a globe, if you have parallel light rays. That's the only way it works for a globe, if light is parallel and you ignore the measurement. So it's a twofold thing. Not only does the light coming from the sun need to be parallel, right, which means it hasn't diverged yet, it's hitting the globe, parallel, but the measurement must be ignored as well, because you can't make a measurement here and have a tangent going up here and have the sun be here and, let's just say, coming down to hit something here at the end of the tangent and that thing be here. It can't be done, right? What I mean is this, right? I'll try and show in real time, right, what I'm talking about. So just give me, right, circle percent or any other thing, right? And give me a point. I'll put that point here, right? And now I get a tangent, right? Right, there's a tangent to this, let's say, globe here, right? Now, the problem is this, right? If we just zoom in here, let's just say I get a segment, right, to something out here and another one down to here, right? And from here then to the, from here then, right, this is what the globe needs to have happen, right? So the actual point ends up being somewhere around here, right, for the globe. Whereas this is where the actual point directly below the celestial body is, right? This doesn't work because for the sun to come down directly into the well, right, and for you to use a tangent means that the sunlight must be coming straight down and, oh, sorry, I want to get a vector. Straight down and down this way, right? That's what needs to have happen. I'm just going to make that vector bigger. As you can see, right? The sunlight has to be coming down. I make this orange or something, right? And this one, so you can see it. So it has to be coming down in this vector, right? Not in at that vector. It's not going in that vector. I'm just going to put another vector in there, right? And 1 second now. I know I'm doing this on the fly, but it won't be much longer. Make that bigger and make that orange as well, right? Right. So you can see the sun would have to be coming in at this vector into a well here, not straight down over a well here, right? So even if you're trying to use a tangent, you destroy the globe because mathematically it doesn't work. You can't make it work geometrically. It can't be done. This is where the well is, right? That is where Eratosthenes is measuring from. You cannot have the light from the sun coming straight down into the well here and also into the well at this angle. It doesn't work. So trying to use a tangent means nothing because you're not measuring the elevation of anything above a tangent, and also the GP of the celestial body is the well. So how can the GP of the celestial body be at the end of a tangent? I'm going to make this blue. How can it be at the end of a tangent, right, the GP of the celestial body, and be on the surface of the globe at the same time? You need two GPs at that point, and a GP stands for a geographical position. Now, the end of a tangent is not a geographical position, is it? Right? This is what's really going on is there is no globe, there is no tangent. This is the well, this is where Eratosthenes is. That's where the sun is. Right? I'm going to make that bigger and make it orange. Right? That's where the sun is, and that's reality. And that's what happened, and that's what always happens because the earth is flat. It is not a globe. Geometrically can't be. There is no GP here and a GP at the end of a tangent. Right? And the GP can't be below the tangent because it's not a GP. Right? You can't have it on the tangent or below the tangent because none of them are a GP. Because it's a tangent. Look, if the tangent is this long, right, then it's a tangent to nowhere. Do you know what I mean? Or a GP to nowhere. There is no GP because there's no geographical position. There's no geometry, no topography, no Earth surface. This just fails outright, geometrically in all other ways. There is no way for any of this to work on a globe Earth. But people obviously want to believe that it does. And what they want to do is try and input parallel sun rays onto a flat Earth, right? Which is not the case. There is no parallel sun rays. Where are these parallel sun rays? They don't exist in reality. There is only divergent light from the sun, right, hitting the earth. The sun's light hits the earth divergently, right? It doesn't hit it parallel, right? And even if it did, that measurement still can't be made if the earth was a globe. Can't be done. The whole lot fails geometrically, no way out of it, right? All you can do as a globe believer to reply to this video is to try and somehow go back and just show what you believe happens in the Eratosthenes measurement. And it's just like, which is going to be just exactly the thing I'm debunking. Do you know what I mean? I don't have any beliefs about this. I know what's happening, what did happen, if he existed or not, and what would happen if anyone did decide to measure an elevation angle to the sun. There is only one thing that can happen, and that is the measurement of a flat earth. There is no other way around it, right? It is what it is. You know, there's no way. Every single image proves it. There's no way around it. You can't go back. You can't go forward. There's no way out. Doesn't work on a globe. As I said, with a 2,700 nautical mile distance to the GP, if the well was at 2,700 nautical miles away at this point, right, and the sun has to be up here directly over this point, right, over the well here, then on a globe there's a differential of over 402 nautical miles. What would that be? Let me just see, right, let's say 402, multiplied by 1.1508 equals, that's 400, almost 463 statute miles. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just ridiculous. Can't be done. Impossible. So even mathematically, it doesn't work. Like, as I showed earlier, even mathematically, I just go back to, I think it was this one. They need two suns. Do you understand? It's so ridiculous. They need to show two suns within their, and the cheek of calling this an experiment, but they need two suns within their diagrams. It's terrible. Like, it's just none of it is real. That's what's happening. Do you know what I mean? That's what's happening. This is not happening. This is not happening. This is not, well, that is happening. That's happening. That's happening. This is not happening. So I don't know what else to say. There's just no way out. The sun has to be, wherever the sun is, directly below that sun is the GP point of the sun. And in that instance, the well is the GP point. Which means that the well and the measurement of distance is horizontal. And when the end of that horizontal, I just show, I can probably show here. The end of this horizontal, sorry, here, the dotted line, right here, the end of that horizontal has to be 90 degrees to the light coming straight down from the sun. So the end of this horizontal and the light straight down from the sun is where the GP of the sun is, and that's 90 degrees to that horizontal. So the well has to be directly below that. And that's it. That's where Eratosthenes is, that's where the well is. There's no way around it. No if buts, no maybes. No, oh well, it's a zenith angle, not an elevation angle. No, that for all the fools out there who want to come at me with that stupid nonsense. Stuff I dealt with years ago at this stage, right? No, the zenith angle uses 90 degrees as well. And in this instance, you have to measure the elevation angle to get the zenith angle. But it doesn't matter because the zenith angle is from 90 down to 0, whereas the elevation angle is 0 up to 90. It's the same thing, just read in the opposite way, you know, in case there's any boneheads out there who want to tell me about a zenith angle because they don't know what they're talking about, which I'm sure some of them will. But what can you do? You can't stop them. They have a belief, a silly religious belief, and hopefully they'll realise that I'm actually trying to do them a service by breaking them out of this silly religious belief. Hopefully they'll realise that. They may or may not, but all you can do is try. Thanks for watching.